Hi, my name is Brandie Paterakis, and I'm the owner of Blue Bee Counseling Services. I'm a mother and wife who is passionate about life and has found joy in helping others improve their mental health. The goal of this podcast is not only to provide enriching entertainment, but to help others in their pathway to have a more fulfilling life. This in no way is a replacement for therapy. Follow us on this journey of mental health awareness. Blue Bee Counseling Services now presents this podcast, Therapist Table Talk. Hi, welcome to Blue Bee Counseling Therapist Table Talk. We're so excited to have you here. And I have the wonderful Sarah back with me today. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Would love to. My name is Sarah Tolman, and I am a master's intern at Blue Bee Counseling currently. Would love to come and see you. I've got openings. Give us a call.
That's right. Mm-hmm. My name is Brandie Paterakis, and I am the owner of Blue Bee Counseling Services. If you are listening to us on a podcast, we are so excited. Thank you for listening. But you can also watch it on YouTube. So just wanted to throw that in there. We're a lot funnier in real life.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
For sure.
The facial expressions that you miss out on.
Yeah.
The crazy hairdo today, by the way.
It is a day of wind, y'all. Something is going on with the weather.
It's fascinating. Mm-hmm. And this is also a really funny thing. I asked Logan, who is behind the scenes helping us with this, if she had like a fun little filter for my hair. She told me no. It's kind of rude.
Like it should exist.
It should be, right? Who are you out there that does these filters and programs these new apps? I think we need a filter for hair.
Somebody get on it.
Yeah, but I don't want to look like the beehive one. You know,
yeah. I didn't know that exists either.
High hair. But talking about that all today, we are talking about self-compassion.
Yes.
And so self-compassion seems to be the day. So as I was looking in the mirror today and being like, okay, I really should curl my hair and put on some cute makeup and do some wonderful things.
No.
Because I have self-compassion.
It's okay. It's okay that we don't look like we are going on display every minute of every day.
Yes.
And why is that?
Well, I think sometimes it's a great thing for us to talk through some of those things and to really apply ourselves and do a good job at our hair and dress up every now and again.
Sure.
But I think sometimes you just have to have a little bit of self-compassion and be like, not feeling it today.
Yeah, and that's okay.
And that's okay. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Let's talk about why it's okay.
Let's talk about why it's okay. So let's talk about the definition of self-compassion. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure you saw the whole blurb about this, self-compassion, you hit the play button, and here we are. So let's talk about it. Self-compassion, I'm sure you're evaluating yourself and thinking about, why do I need to feel self-compassion? Or maybe that's the thing that might help me. Maybe that's the thing that I'm missing. Yeah. Maybe I recognize in myself that I struggle with self-compassion. So let's start out with a definition. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite definitions that I have seen, read, is by Kristen Neff, who wrote the book Self-Compassion. And I think that it's a wonderful book. Yeah, if you haven't read it, really seriously consider reading it. It opened my eyes to deeper levels of self-compassion that I didn't even know possible. I assign it out to a lot of my clients to read it, which I think is great. So I'm going to read a little passage from her, which is why we have the computer here. Yeah. She says this: instead of mercilessly judging and criticizing yourself for various inadequacies or shortcomings, self-compassion means you are kind and understanding when confronted with your failings. After all, whoever said you were supposed to be perfect? And I think that is like such a great definition.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it because it lets us take a pause and examine some of these habits that we get into about holding ourselves to increasingly high standards all the time, which isn't necessary or healthy in a lot of cases.
Yes. I also like the whole understanding of like honoring our humanness. Like the fact that we are human, we're meant to make mistakes. We're supposed to have some shortcomings and some failings. We're supposed to mess some things up. We're supposed to have a little bit of a hard time with our life. It can't just go perfectly.
No. And can I tell you, one of the best gifts that was ever given to me came in the form of a comment that a good friend made when she came to my house one day. And I like to tell this to clients. She walked in and I did the thing where I knew she was coming in the door and I was like, hurry, hide everything, hide all the evidence that people live here. Let's make it look, hurry. And then she came in and I immediately started apologizing. I'm so sorry. It's crazy because, and I'm listing the reasons why my house doesn't look perfect.
Yes.
And then she held up her hand and said, stop. Remember, this isn't a museum. You live here. And I was like, you are so right. This is not a museum. Like, I live here. And so from then on, I have taken it upon myself to try to give this gift to people that come into my house of letting them see my messy house, to say, yeah, this isn't necessary that we hold ourselves to this standard up here when it's like, why do we feel this pressure to hide real and regular life? Like, who is it benefiting? Is it helping anybody? It's not benefiting the people who come in your house, because then what do? Oh my gosh, her house, it's perfect. Like, it's amazing. This is...
Yes. I feel bad about myself.
I'm so sad that my house isn't perfect and amazing.
I'm not as good as Sarah.
And like, you don't see Sarah's bedroom with the piles of all the crap we just took out of the living room. So how
you have aisleways in your bedroom too?
It's just, I mean, we navigate, right? Do we navigate through?
I figure as long as I have aisleways and it's not just one conceptual heap that I have to climb over, I'm in a good place.
Probably get some help if you need to crawl over piles.
That's a good point.
If you're there, then maybe come talk to us. Let us help with that.
Well, I love the fact of, I love that really about the whole museum versus living in a home thing. And I think that is perfect. I also find it funny because today, I mean, I used to have my perfect house. I totally kind of connected when you said that. I was like, yep, I had the perfect house thing. Like, people would come in and I'd be like, oh my gosh, everything needs to be picked up and cleaned. And then how many of us, when people come into our house, end up cleaning our house after they come in when it's a surprise? Right. We're like, oh, I really need to clean this up. And now our house is spotless after they leave. Yeah. Like, it's one of those things. But I have had a refrigerator in my dining room since November.
And and it's functional. It's doing its thing. But even if it wasn't, self-compassion to say, we all have life circumstances that sometimes do not allow for a perfect situation. And why should they also? Why do we feel that need to have something perfect? I think I know why. But what do you think?
I'm super curious. I can't even think about what I think because I want to know what you think.
What year is it?
2024.
2024. And we are in the age of what?
A house.
I think houses have been around for a while. Okay. Like, very high tech. High technology is a huge part of our lives.
She did, okay, for those of you that are not watching, she did a house gesture.
I'm so sorry.
It looked like a house.
I don't know why I was like,
let me go along with it.
Wasn't even conscious that I did that. But we are in this age of ready accessibility to a lot of influences coming at us, either through social media or just, I mean, even things like marketing from companies and all the things that we see, if it's ads or commercials, it depicts things in really beautiful scenarios and perfect situations. And so we get these ideas, I think, in our minds like, oh, I need to look at that house. Look at how they do. Look at those people on that reel. Look at, I can be like that, right? Or I should be like that, right? And it's fine to have things that we aspire to and goals. But if we start looking at it as a must-have standard, we're kind of setting ourselves up for failure sometimes.
And that perfectionism can set in, which can cause depression and anxiety. It actually has been now linked to a lot of complications with health problems. Yeah. And so self-compassion is a really important thing for us to like combat and go to war with within ourselves and really fight against it. I find it super funny. I had a friend of mine that showed me a picture, her family picture. She posted it on Facebook, Instagram, and I was like, what a beautiful family. And I got the opportunity to talk to her one time, and she's like, let me tell you about this beautiful picture. Okay. She's like, you had no idea how hard it was to get this picture. Like, the baby, we were all running late. One of her little girls spilled stuff all down the front of her. She had to put like a new jacket over the top of it. As they were running out the door, they had to stop at some sort of store to get the baby formula. The baby was crying. Like, the baby ended up pooping up and it like went all the back. So they had to hold the baby in a certain way that wouldn't get the poop on them.
Everybody. Yep.
Yeah. As well as, like, you can't see it in the picture. And she just said, like, it was a zoo. Like, one of the little girls hit one of the other little girls, and the other little girl's crying, and then she gets really splotchy face. And so
it's a whole thing.
It was a zoo. And I'm like, that's the picture that I want to see.
Yeah, the real. The real. This is why I love, I don't know if anybody sees Pioneer Woman cookbooks.
Yes.
Okay. At the back of her cookbooks, a lot of times, not in every single one, but she will put a picture of her actual kitchen, the whole kitchen, not just the photo shoot picture. And it's like there, you cannot see an inch of counter space because it's so covered in dirty dishes and stuff.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Like, this is the real thing, not just the idealized, beautiful.
I love that.
Right? And so she's getting that self-compassion in there.
I love that. And how many times do we look at social media and we watch these influencers and we say, oh my gosh, I just can't do things like her. Like, look at how beautiful her child birthday parties are. And I actually have a friend that has a sister-in-law or someone who works for one of them. And they told me, like, her fingers were all bloodied and blistered as she's creating the perfect balloon arch, and she works mercilessly for like 12 hours. And then the influencer comes in at the very last moment, hair done, perfect manicured nails, no blisters on her finger. And it's like, oh, I can do the last one. Whew. Isn't that great? And then it's like, and then we look at them and we go, I want to be like her. Right. Or I wish I could do that. Or why can't I do things as amazing as them? And I want to aspire to be like that. So I need to create these beautiful, perfect birthday parties like she puts together. Yeah. But then we don't have a team of 24 people behind setting up the balloon arches, wrapping the presents perfectly, creating the cute flowery garlands and the banners, the confetti.
It's a different world. Like, it's a lot of, I think, in short, we live in a world with a lot of smoke and mirrors. And if we can remember that,
that's good.
That a lot of the things that we see are manufactured for a very specific reason, we can start to manufacture in ourselves a little bit more self-compassion.
That's what I did today. I manufactured myself. Look at my hairdo. Yep, my big bun on top of my head.
Here.
For those of you that cannot see me, you really should take a sneak peek. It's awesome.
It is beautiful.
This is the bun that I wear on days when I'm cleaning my house.
It's good.
It's the pulled back bang look. It's a little wispies on the side, and it's throw it up here. I don't even know what it looks like.
And we're going to celebrate that because you cleaned your house. Look at you. You didn't something.
Really
Who cares? Who cares what the hair looks like?
But kind of, sort of. Yeah. That is so funny.
Let's talk about what do self-compassionate people do.
That is a great point. I mean, self-compassionate people are, well, let's just go through the list of some of the things here. Yeah. So they feel happy. They're optimistic and satisfied with their lives. They have stable and unconditional sense of self-worth.
Yeah. They're not going to be swayed by just, when the winds of change and life come at them, they're going to be more secure.
They are appreciative. They demonstrate higher levels of emotional intelligence. That was the one that kind of threw me off. I was like, yeah, they do. I could see that. I really could see that. They're more forgiving and compassionate towards others, which I think you have to be, like recognizing that others are human too and they make mistakes. They're strong and resilient when faced with hardship, which I love that. Conscious and take personal responsibility. They show grit. Grit. We've lost that word, haven't we?
It's a good word.
Man, that is so good. If you want to know what that is, look it up. I won't give it the best definition.
No, that's good.
Motivation, determination to important goals. They'll focus on learning, personal growth. They cope with work challenges and feel more competent and effective at their jobs.
Right. That's a valuable skill in this day and age.
It almost feels like there's like an era of like gratitude around with self-compassion, don't you think?
For sure.
Maintains healthy work-life balance. Draw healthy boundaries to say no. I love that one. Who would have thought that self-compassion also means to say no? Yes. Like, how many times do we go through the motions of like, I need to do that thing in order to please or, do that thing that everyone tells me that I need to do. But actually self-compassion could mean that I need to set some boundaries with others.
When to say, no, thank you. No, I can't. No, I don't want to. Any of those.
Yeah. I'm not in a really great place right now to do that thing that you need me to do. And then the last couple ones on here is feeling authentic and connected and experience intimacy and relationships with others. Who would have thought your intimacy would have got better?
I know.
Self-compassion. I mean, it's probably true, right?
Yeah.
Because intimacy can be very vulnerable. So having some self-compassion for the way that you look or how you present yourself in your relationship with your partner and spouse, like that could be really important. Make compromise solutions in conflict situations. Compromising.
Love that. Yes.
Who would have thought?
That's key.
And eat nutritious food, exercise, and get medical checkups. Sleep well and have a strong immune system. I mean, those are winners.
It's a lot of things. I mean, that list in summary just to me sounds like when you are self-compassionate, these are people who are advocating for themselves, who are pushing forward to say, I know that I have worth. I know what that worth is, and I'm going to advocate for that. And then by doing so, they're able to also advocate for others and fight for others to, just promote the well-being of everyone around them.
So let's talk a little bit about self-compassion and people that are less likely to do some things. So
if you are a self-compassionate person, you are less likely to engage in the following. Experience intense feelings of shame or self-loathing. Shame cycle is brutal once you get caught up in that.
And just a reminder on shame, it's the feelings of I am bad.
Yeah.
Which is guilt is I did something bad.
Yeah. And so the shame cycle is very specific to feelings that you're not worthy or you don't have value. And if you have self-compassion, you're going to be less likely to get caught up in that. Additionally, if you are self-compassionate, you're less likely to base your self-worth on social approval, like we talked about earlier, perceived attractiveness or success, less likely to have a negative body image or engage in any type of disordered eating, which there are a lot of different ways that can occur, less likely to ruminate or think for a really long time on negative thoughts and emotions, or to even become emotionally dysregulated. You're less likely to develop anxiety or depressive disorders and engage in suicidal ideations. Not probably going to be getting overwhelmed by stress to the point that PTSD develops. You also don't see with self-compassionate people a high likelihood of drug abuse or alcohol abuse as a way to escape emotional pains that they experience. You're less likely to feel loneliness and isolation. Like you're going to have a greater chance that you reach out when you start to feel down. Less likely to become hopeless about your future or just having a cynical attitude towards life. Like you talked about earlier, self-compassionate people are more optimistic and hopeful. Less likely to develop fear of failure or any imposter syndrome. You believe in yourself and you know you've got something to offer the world.
Or at least come around it quicker.
Absolutely.
Get out of it faster.
Jump over those humps as they come.
I still feel it. I feel imposter syndrome.
Right. And it's not right. So again, we're not holding ourselves to perfectionism. Like all of us are going to experience some of this in some degree. But if you're self-compassionate, you can overcome it more quickly. You're less likely to procrastinate or give up after you fail at something important that you really wanted to accomplish. And we see less burnout also with self-compassionate people.
All of you business people out there that own businesses where you work with people, maybe get some of us in there to help teach some self-compassion or get them the Kristen Neff self-compassion book. I mean, I'm just saying.
Could be valuable for sure. You are less likely to be detached or controlling or aggressive in your relationships, specifically romantic or intimate relationships. And then here's the fascinating one.
This one threw me for
I mean, if you are self-compassionate, you are less likely to experience like intense colds, aches, pains. Like when you get sick.
Yes.
We're going to get through that pretty quickly if you have self-compassion. If you are not a self-compassionate person, you have a higher likelihood of a prolonged illness.
We find that it's really interesting. There are a lot more statistics coming out with correlation to mental health and actual physical ailments or problems, complications with your body and symptoms. So keep that aware. Like if you're feeling constant headaches, stomach aches, feverish pains, not necessarily feverish, but like pains, it might correlate back to, self-compassion or something else. And so go and talk with a local therapist and see if you can get on the books to be seen to see if we can regulate those and get this out of the way. I've actually worked with a couple of people that I've had some body pains, and through working with some of their issues, we found that those alleviated, which is great. So now here we are. self-compassion, right? Let's talk about how do we overcome it. We have all the signs, we have the symptoms, some of the things that can come from having self-compassion, some of the things that can hinder our progress and our growth, and cause complications in our daily life. So what do we do to overcome it? And I think that this is a beautiful thing here.
So where we want to get self-compassion, how do we get there where we feel self-compassionate and overcome any negative feelings towards ourselves?
Yes. The first thing I think is awareness. If you do not know that you are not compassionate towards yourself or that you struggle with compassion, this is a time when we got to open up our eyes, kind of become more aware of it, and work towards not being an autopilot all the time.
Just doing that self-inventory to look and see where you're at, see how it is that you feel about yourself, how do you view yourself, and then once you get there, you can move on to saying, okay, what sacrifices do I need to make to get some positive changes going?
And I think it's also important to recognize it with other people as well. Yeah. Like, am I less compassionate towards other people? Because that's a big hindrance as well. And so working on both sides of that.
Yes.
It's not just about being compassionate towards self, it's about being compassionate towards others. Because if you're compassionate towards others, then you'll start being more compassionate towards yourself. And I think one of the things they looked at is what is our expectations around other people? And do we hold those towards ourselves? Because sometimes we are more compassionate towards other people and not to ourselves. And so that's one of the words that I like to use is like asking yourself that question. Would I require this of somebody else? If I was to walk in their house, would I require it to be all, spick and span and spotless and clean and look like it's not lived in? Is that a requirement that I have for them? Well, then why am I holding that for myself?
For sure.
And so I think that's good.
Once you're there, you're able to say, I do want to make these changes. This is my favorite part. You get to make sure that you're making goals, because there's a huge difference between the wishful thinking with no plan. That is just wishful thinking. If we want to go, we have a goal and we don't have a plan, then it's just the wishful thinking. So if we want to make these sacrifices, we recognize that we aren't viewing ourselves in a healthy and constructive way, then we need to make a plan for how to move forward, how to change this thinking into a pattern that's going to be constructive. And so make those goals, set specific milestones for yourself that are manageable, that are realistic, that allow you a path moving forward.
I love that. And it's the ability to allow it to win, because sometimes we put up that resistance against it. So allowing it to win can be really, really helpful towards that accomplishment. And then once we get it, that's when accomplishment sets in. Once we put in the action, then accomplishment sets in. And once accomplishment sets in, we do this really great thing, which is we become very vulnerable in sharing it with other people.
Yes.
We teach, we educate.
Yes.
And we share our story about it, and we teach others along the way. And so I think that is such a beautiful thing. And if not, at the end of the day, one thing that I like to go back with my clients is this. If we have something that comes up in our life, we have usually 3 aspects to choose from. We either choose to repair it, right? We either or we choose to let it go. Or we choose to have radical acceptance and just accept it. And according to the circumstance and situation, sometimes letting it go and having acceptance in it can be the same thing. Sometimes it can be different. And so those are kind of the 3 things. Do we want it to stay the same and stay where we're at? Are we willing to put in the sacrifice to make it different and improve upon it and have that radical acceptance set in, or choose to let it go? And then the other one is what did I recognize that is my part in it that I need to play to fix it? Right. And then that's how, I was driving down the road the other day and some guy yelled out the window, and I sat there for days thinking about what I was going to say to him. If I came across that guy again, this is what I would say to him, right? And then I beat myself up about it, that I was not being a good human person and that I'm a bad person and I shouldn't have had those thoughts. And then I had to go back to no, I just need to let this go. I need to have some radical acceptance in it. It's not all right or okay. What do I need to repair? Okay, let me point the finger into myself. I need to look at some things a little bit differently. Was I in the wrong? Could I have changed things for the future? And could I have done things better? And then if not, let it go.
And looking at this as though, not that you're this person or that person, but, you're a human person. Oh my gosh, someone said something
You mean
rude
I'm
and
not perfect?
you had a reaction. You had a reaction to a thing someone did, like
a human thing?
We are going to have reactions and responses, and that's how it's supposed to be.
Do you know what? I usually find that it takes 2 weeks. 2 weeks is my key time to kind of cycle it through and get it out of my mind.
And then then you can be done.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this was really fun. Thank you for joining us for all of the fun tidbits on self-compassion and finding a place within yourself to like recognize where are you at on the self-compassion scale. Is this something that you need to look at maybe a little bit deeper? Are you really great at being self-compassionate towards yourself, or do you need to work on that? Are you really great at being self-compassionate towards others, or do you need to work on that? Let's have a little bit of a critical framework and thought mind in that and see what elements we can like integrate into there to help us become a little bit better. And if not, then something's getting in the way.
Yeah. Let us help you figure that one out, right?
Yeah,
come see us.
Come see us here at Blue Bee Counseling Services. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, Blue Bee Counseling Services and Therapist Table Talk.